Japanese literature has long fascinated readers with its ability to balance stillness and chaos, beauty and brutality, and even intimate and the cosmic. While names like Haruki Murakami and Yasunari Kawabata often dominate conversations, there exists a parallel tradition of novels less celebrated in the West, yet no less profound. These books open windows into the complexities of love, memory, trauma, and identity, filtered through uniquely Japanese sensibilities. Here I'll be looking at 10 underrated Japanese novels, with each deserving greater recognition, not only for their literary craft, but for their exploration of the deepest recesses of human experiences. I want to put a spotlight onto some of these books, which often live in the shadows of the author's more famous or more popular works. Starting with And Then, by Natsume Soseki. This is Bochan, the more famous work. This one captures the alienation of modern intellectual life in Meiji-era Japan. Its protagonist, Daisuke, is the son of a wealthy family who drifts through his existence with cultivated indifference. Yet, beneath the surface calm lies a deep unease. He feels estranged from his family, detached from his country's rapid westernization, and unable to commit to any profession. When he falls in love with Michio, the wife of his best friend, Daisuke's emotional paralysis comes to the fore. The novel delicately examines moral responsibility, the conflict between tradition and progress, and the suffocating solitude of intellectual detachment. Soseki paints a portrait of a man caught between worlds, unwilling to fully embrace either. You may have already heard me talk about Kawabata's work quite frequently, and for good reason, but this one is one of his lesser-known works, Thousand Cranes. This is a slim but devastating novel where the ceremonial world of the Japanese tea ceremony becomes entangled with desire, guilt, and memory. Kikuji, the young protagonist, becomes romantically involved with his late father's former mistress and, later, her daughter. The teacups and bowls that pass through the character's hands carry not only beauty, but also the weight of betrayal, of loss, and fleeting connection. Kawabata's prose, precise and restrained, turns the tea ritual into a stage upon which forbidden loves and generational wounds are revealed. Beneath its surface elegance lies an aching study on impermanence and the burdens of inheritance. I have to say, I also just really like this new edition by Penguin. They've released a whole series of books published like this, which just with the red and the white. I think with the idea of having stamps either on the front or the back or inside the covers. But yeah, well done, Penguin. Next, I want to talk about Yukio Mishima. Mishima is very famous already for certain books like Spring Snow, The Sound of Waves, and the stories within the Sea of Fertility tetralogy. But I think one of his stories from the Sea of Fertility tetralogy is overlooked. That's Runaway Horses. This book plunges readers into a fevered world of nationalism, youthful fervor, and doomed rebellion. The story follows Isao, a passionate young idealist who forms a secret society with his friends, aiming to overthrow Japan's corrupt modern institutions and restore purity through violent sacrifice. Isao's uncompromising vision clashes with the indifference of those around him, setting him on a tragic trajectory. Mishima uses Isao's fanaticism to interrogate Japan's relationship with its past and its uncertain future. The novel's blend of beauty and brutality reflects Mishima's own obsessions, making it both a gripping narrative and an unsettling philosophical exploration. In another of Mishima's works, The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea, published in 1963, the collision of innocence, desire, and violence is rendered with chilling clarity. Noboru, a 13-year-old boy, idolizes Ryuji, a sailor engaged to his widowed mother. To Noboru and his nihilistic gang of friends, Ryuji represents heroic masculinity, until his decision to settle into domestic life shatters their ideal. The boy's disillusionment culminates in a shocking act of violence, as Mishima strips away the veneer of ordinary life to reveal the darker impulses lurking beneath. This short, tightly constructed novel is both a critique of bourgeois complacency and a disturbing story of adolescent cruelty. I have to mention a book by Osamu Dazai. This is The Setting Sun, a book that reflects on the ruins of post-war Japan through the disintegration of an aristocratic family. Told through the perspective of Kazuko, a young woman navigating the collapse of her class and her family, the novel captures the despair and aimlessness of a society trying to find direction after defeat. Her mother is dying, her brother is addicted and self-destructive, and Kazuko herself becomes entangled in an affair that defies convention. Dazai imbues her voice with both resignation and resilience, making the novel not only a record of historical change, but also a deeply personal chronicle of loss and survival. Returning now to Kawabata again, this is Dandelions, which is actually an unfinished story. But this, I would argue, is one of his most haunting works. Less known than Snow Country or Thousand Cranes even, but equally rich in quiet power. The story unfolds around Ineko, a young woman suffering from a mysterious psychological condition. She can no longer see objects, only the spaces around them. Her fiancé and mother accompany her to a psychiatric clinic, and the novel's fragmented narrative drifts between their perspectives, memories, and emotions. Kawabata here builds a fragile tapestry of love, absence, and perception, where what is unsaid becomes as vital as what is spoken. Though incomplete, Dandelions embodies Kawabata's lifelong preoccupation with beauty, impermanence, and the unknowability of the human heart. Next, I have chosen Territory of Light by Yuko Tsushima. Serialized across a year, this book follows a newly divorced woman as she rebuilds her life with her young daughter in a Tokyo apartment filled with light. Each chapter captures a different season in her journey toward selfhood, balancing moments of beauty with the crushing weight of isolation and responsibility. The narrator struggles with judgment and loneliness and her role as both mother and independent woman. Tsushima's prose, tender yet unflinching, turns domestic life into a site of quiet revelation. The novel is both deeply personal and socially resonant, illuminating the inner world of a woman on the margins of a rapidly modernizing society. Taking a slightly darker turn, I will talk about Ryu Murakami's Coin Locker Babies. This book explodes with violence, surrealism, and punk energy. It tells a story of two boys abandoned in coin lockers as infants, raised in foster care, and marked by trauma. As adults, they embark on a destructive odyssey through Tokyo's underbelly, encountering drug addiction, crime, and bizarre subcultures. The novel's lurid style mirrors the chaos of its characters' inner lives, making it both shocking and exhilarating. Beneath the excess lies a profound tale of abandonment, rage, and the corrosive effects of modern society. You may have heard of Banana Yoshimoto, but have you heard of her book Amrita? This book takes a gentler but equally probing approach, weaving together themes of grief, healing, and the supernatural. After a sudden family tragedy, Sakumi, a young woman, begins to experience hallucinations and a strange sense of connection to the dead. Her journey becomes one of quiet rediscovery as she navigates love and memory and the shifting boundary between the real and the spiritual. Yoshimoto's prose, suffused with warmth and melancholy, gives the novel a dreamlike atmosphere. Amrita is less well known than her kitchen book, but it may be her most expansive and ambitious work. And for my final pick, I've gone with Natsume Soseki's Sanshiro, which offers a gentler but deeply resonant exploration of solitude and dislocation. The novel follows Sanshiro Ogawa, a naive young man leaving his rural hometown to attend university in Tokyo. Much of the narrative unfolds through the impressions of the city, its crowded streets, shifting cultural landscapes, and the intimidating presence of intellectual circles that he only half understands. Sanshiro's experiences with friendship and unrequited love highlights his hesitations, his inability to fully act on his desires, and his perpetual sense of being on the margins of life rather than at its center. The novel is less about plot than about atmosphere and the psychological texture of youth, portraying a protagonist adrift between tradition and modernity. Soseki's prose captures the quiet alienation of early adulthood, the loneliness of new beginnings, and the poignant beauty of uncertainty. Together, these 10 novels reveal the extraordinary breadth of Japanese literature beyond its most famous works. They explore solitude, love, obsession, and dislocation, whether through Kawabata's fragile silences, Dazai's despairing honesty, or Murakami's fevered chaos. Each text challenges readers to confront the mysteries of the human heart while grounding them in uniquely Japanese contexts of tradition, change, and modernity. For me, Japanese literature has always been about more than just the celebrated masterpieces. It thrives in its shadows, where underappreciated works carry voices as powerful as any in the canon. To discover real Japan, you have to wander down the secret streets. And to discover these books is to wander into lesser traveled paths, where beauty and darkness coexist, and where the soul of Japan's storytelling tradition reveals itself in new and unexpected ways. Thank you again. I'll see you again soon for more videos, and please like and subscribe to my channel.